So let's get started on our JumpStart, which I find really interesting because it seems like we always start at 8:08. 8:08 seems to be the time that we have all said hello and good morning, and then we go on to talk about what we're here to talk about. So I want to make sure my phone is shut off because Miroslav tends to want to cue me about things while we're here. I want to talk to you about what I call your mutation. So let me start by once again reminding you I'm a movie nerd. And so let me tell you a little bit about some movies. First of all, The Joker is the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. The one with Joaquin Phoenix. Highest grossing movie of all time that's R-rated. That's important. Now, prior to that, it was Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2. I kind of doubt, surveying my audience, a whole heck of a lot of you have seen Deadpool. I am not going to necessarily recommend it. It is extremely politically incorrect. However, I want to tell you the story from Deadpool 2. And by the way, if you want to see some sort of a Deadpool movie, after Disney purchased Marvel, they recut Deadpool 2, which was the highest rated R-rated movie at that time prior to The Joker. And they recut it and made it PG-13. So if you'd like to just see what it's like, but it made it a much shorter movie. Anyway, the premise of Deadpool is that everybody, this bounty hunter named Wade Gibson, played by Ryan Reynolds, is dying of cancer. And he is approached by some people who can basically turn him into a superhero. But the way to get him there, the way to get his mutation to come out, the way to get him to express this inner superpower that he has, which ultimately turns out to be regeneration. He can't die. He, gets his arm cut off, it grows back, etc. The way to get him there is to cause extreme pain and suffering. Now, his superhero quality comes out only after he is mutated. Now, after he is mutated, that's the reason, if you've ever seen pictures of him in the makeup as Deadpool without the mask, his face is all wrinkly and messed up. Looks like it's been burned, etc., etc., etc. So, there's an upside, there's a downside, and it all comes from going through extreme suffering. So, I want to ask you about your mutation, and I want you to consider the fact that you have one. And let me tell you a personal story, okay? So, Marty left in July of last year. December, Christmas, I was sitting around Leah's house, my daughter, downstairs in the apartment that she has there that I stay in when I'm there. And I was feeling really lonely, obviously. It was Christmas. It was the first time without the other side, the part of the family that I'd been with for 10 years. And I was feeling lonely, feeling sad, and I downloaded one of those dating apps. I don't remember which one it was, but I downloaded a dating app. And to me, it became like a video game. Swipe right, swipe left, swipe right, swipe left. I had no intention of following up with anybody. To me, it was just kind of like a video game, and it was frightening and fun at the same time. I don't know why. That would be how I would describe it. Now, I ended up downloading like 4 or 5 of these apps, and it just became something that I just did to fill my time because I felt, like I said, understandably lonely, sad, etc. Now, here's what I noticed from these apps, from looking at women in the age group that I was looking for, which is about my age, etc., etc., etc. And I presume it was true because even sometimes it would be women that were like in their 30s, which is way too young for me. Anyway, the number one thing women would say is, must have a great sense of humor. He must make me laugh. Laughter a bonus. Hands down, that was the number one thing that women were putting in their profiles. They wanted someone who would make them laugh. Now, I'm a funny guy. I can say without any hesitation that I am a funny guy. I stand on stage and I make people laugh when I speak. It's one of the main reasons people hire me. There are a lot of motivational speakers out there, but there are not a lot of people who can make you laugh and motivate you. And so that's why I'm in such demand. Even now with the virus, I think we sold 5 speeches in the last week And we're going to do half of them virtually here from my home studio. So, why am I funny? Well, Kevin Pollak, if you want to see something interesting, I think it's still on Netflix because I'm pretty sure it was a Netflix-produced show, did a movie called Misery Loves Comedy. Not Misery Loves Company, Misery Loves Comedy, in which Kevin Pollak interviews a lot of the great comedians of today. I know Jim Gaffigan is in there. I want to say Chris Rock is in there. Anyway, it's a lot of famous comedians. Do you know what they all have in common? Really bad childhoods, abuse, neglect. In fact, there are some comedians out there who had decent childhoods, who actually had loving and supportive parents. But those people tend to be few and far between. The mutation was the comedy. The mutation was being funny. Why am I funny? I was thinking about that this morning as I was preparing for this. And one of the very first memories I have, I was 2.5. I was almost 3. So I don't remember if I was in a playpen or a bed, but I remember being there and my mother bringing my little brother in to what up until that time had been my room. My room. I didn't have to share it with anybody. It was my room. And then all of a sudden, there came Dave. And I remember them telling me how we all had to take care of him and how important he was. And all of a sudden, I remember thinking, what, I'm no longer important? And so I became the Jan Brady of the family, the middle child. And so to stand out, and I wasn't athletic, I was fat. And so I became funny. I didn't make a decision to do it. It actually was an offshoot of being my father's son. Probably the funniest person I've ever known is my dad. But just like with every superpower that comes as a result of a mutation that we all have, there's an upside and there's a downside. My dad could be counted on to always be funny. The downside was my dad could be counted on to always be funny. I remember one time at Thanksgiving, I invited us all as we sat down at the table, instead of saying a blessing, to just very quickly go around the room and look at somebody and say something that we love about them. I forget exactly how I constructed it, but I was invited to do it. Being an ordained minister, everybody always wants you to say the blessing. So what I was doing was trying to spread it around. And you know what? When it got to my dad, he made some stupid joke. Everybody else was feeling tender and open, and my dad could not take the vulnerability of the moment, and he made a joke. And so even though my dad was extremely funny, my dad never listened. He never listened. To this day, my dad could not tell you my soon-to-be ex-wife's name. He probably could. I know he couldn't tell you where I went to the university, but he couldn't tell you what my degree was in. He never really listened. My dad listened for setups. You know what I mean? Just like most funny people, they look for setups. And so on the one hand, if I date a woman, she's going to get that funny guy. That's the good side. The downside is she's also going to get that funny guy who sometimes feels a little awkward, a little uncomfortable. Think Chandler on Friends, okay? Think Chandler on Friends. Funny, but at the same time, really struggles sometimes with being close, etc., without trying to be funny. So, what is your mutation? I'm not asking you to write it in the comments section. I'm asking you to engage. That's something that transpired in your life. Are you quiet and controlled and able to maintain your anger, but at the same time, it makes you seem a little distant, and sometimes you have trouble relating to people? Are you a person who has a big personality and can get things done, but at the same time, the downside of that is you may come across as grating or overbearing? There's always an upside and a downside to your mutation. The chances are you may have not thought about it. But I want you to begin to celebrate the upside. So often we beat ourselves up for the downside. And if you've got a downside, my expectation is you've also got an upside. If you were abused as a child, as I know many people were, then the chances are you have a higher level of compassion for other people than those of us who were not in the same way abused as you were. However, your abuse is going to leave a mutation. It's going to leave a wrinkle. It's going to leave a stain. It's going to leave. There is a light and there is a shadow in your mutation. So whatever it was that you went through, know that you can begin to make it a blessing. You can no longer focus on the challenge. You can begin to make it a blessing. Let me check in and see what some of you are saying thus far. Anybody have any comments? Please share them with me. Tell me what you think about this concept of a mutation and about the idea that we all have them. You know, for a long time, that was my way in school. Tammy will tell you, Tammy was in school with me, and I know that others of you who are here with me went to high school with me. Frequently, Janet Robinson is with me, and so is Bill Hammond. And they'll tell you, Will was the funny guy. He was always the one with the punchline. He was always with the one with let's go do this or whatever. I remember I actually got to do several speeches in my high school that were supposed to be funny. So, Gail Labadia says, good morning, Will. Paul Pemble says, hi, Will. Hey, Paul. Good to see you. Linda Farrell says, thanks, Michael. All right, everybody. Any other comments or questions? He was always really funny. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. And Tammy always had kind eyes. Tammy always smiled at everyone. I remember that. Tammy was always nice and friendly to everyone. Being a cheerleader and everything, she could have been a mean girl, but she was not. She was a sweet girl. So, how about it, everybody? Consider today that you have a mutation, that something happened in your life, that at some point, if your heart was broken, if your faith was broken, if you were betrayed, there's some light that's trying to come out of that. I remember when I found out that the guy, I don't want to say his name, the guy I was doing all the complaint-free world with for so many years, and when I found out he had been stealing from me and how devastated I was. But the mutation was that I now am very serious about every business deal. There's an old saying of trust everybody but cut the cards. Trust everybody but cut the cards. I now cut the cards. I've become much more of a numbers person. I don't trust that to everybody. Mutation, an adaptive self to survive a situation. Love it, Sherry Green. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gail. Yes, Tammy, survival. Absolutely. All right, everybody, let me show you one more time this beautiful view. This is Victoria Evans. She said that this is not like straight out of her home, this view, but it excuse me, I think she said she took it when she was walking around, but we will ask her when we all get together. But check this out. Isn't this beautiful? The music you hear is by Alex Cordero. Alex was my music director at the church, and so Alex literally has played music under my voice, leading meditations probably 600 or 700 times. Isn't it beautiful? So he knew exactly what we wanted. And I also want to share with you that the music you're hearing right now, this is provided by Stefana Dadas. Stefana Dadas. You will hear it as the opening and also the closing when we begin the JumpStarts. Stefana Dadas wrote the song A Complaint-Free World, and we can make sure you get a copy if you'd like to have it. So just let me know. You can message me or send post here in this group, and we'll make sure that we make it available for everybody. So it's a wonderful song. It's all about how she discovered the complaint-free world by walking down the street and seeing the article in People magazine, and then she wrote the song, took the challenge, and this has become a bit of our theme song. Listen, everybody, remember, use your mutation for good today. For me, I always want to be funny when I can, but more importantly to connect at a deep and loving level with people. So I need to know when to dial back my superpower so that it doesn't become more of a mutation. Trish Barr, congratulations. She's on day 1 in the Complaint-Free Life program. So for those of you who are going to meditate with me, I will see you in 7 minutes in the group Complaint-Free Meditation. It is a private Facebook group. We get together live every day, and we also have an entire library of videos, so you can come in and meditate with me anytime. To join, you have to go to complaintfreemeditation.com. complaintfreemeditation.com. I was just looking at some of your comments. complaintfreemeditation.com. It costs $47 a month, which is like $1 a day, $1.50 a day. And for that, you get live meditation with me and with this group of people that are just growing and building such a wonderful network of support. So check it out. You get 30 days free. Don't like it? No harm, no foul. Just cancel. All right, everybody. Remember, today is going to be a great day if you make it so. Use your superpower and avoid your mutation, and it's going to be great. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And tomorrow we are going to be talking about phobias. Yeah, how to overcome phobias. See you then.